At the beginning of October, I moved into my own place where for the very first time, I have a dedicated home office space. So for this video, the entire focus is going to be on this desk setup, why I've gone with the products here, and what the experience working with them has been. The wall in my new office gives me much more room, so I finally picked up the Carlby countertop from IKEA. I've been scoping this one out for a while just because I love the wooden finish and the length of it. It measures 74 inches long and about 26 inches deep, which gives a lot more room on top for all of your desk items. It's $250, so definitely on the pricier side, but this is a really high quality countertop that makes the setup look gorgeous. For an extra $50, they have an extended 98-inch version. You need a ton of room to fit that, but I honestly would have went with it had this room been a little bigger. I'm happy to be bringing back both of my Alex drawers. Since I brought this standing desk into my setup, I was only able to fit one at the side. This just makes my life a little easier as the various items I may need throughout the day are much closer. Underneath the Carlby is the E7 Pro Plus standing desk from FlexiSpot. I've been using these legs for a little over a year and they've served me well. They can hold up to 355 pounds of weight and support tabletops as long as 80 inches. There is a small amount of wobble if you knock into the desk, but it's nothing you need to be worried about. Adjusting the height is super smooth and doesn't make all that much noise. The controller lets you store 4 preset height options, 2 of which are designed for sitting and standing modes. How I have it set up is the sit stand buttons are mapped to what I found to be the most comfortable for long work sessions, and then the number 1 button is for when I want to record an item on the desk while standing. It's just a little lower than my standing height, and this is what you see whenever I film an overhead shot. The lowest these legs can go is 25 inches, and the highest is just over 50 inches. I'm 6'1", and at around 45 to 47 inches, I find the desk very comfortable to use, so it's well suited for most people. On the underside of the desk frame, there's a screw-on cable tray that hides and manages the power cable, as well as the cord for the desk controller. I attached a power strip with some command strips on here, which I highly recommend. This way, you can plug the desk into it and have only one cable hanging down. At the back side, I have a cable management tray I got on Amazon. This one actually clips to the back of the desk, so you don't need to drill any holes. I thought that was pretty convenient. Any cables that can't fit on the power strip, I have routed up and plugged into the Hexcale Studio. This is essentially just a desk shelf with a light strip at the front and its own built-in power strip. The top compartment gives you storage for power bricks and cables that make my cable management system super easy. In here, there's 12 separate cord channels and then 8 outlets at the back side. The Hexcale measures 47 inches long and 9 inches deep, so it does take up a significant portion of the desktop. On the left side, there's 3 USB-A ports and a single USB-C port to charge your devices, but with the slant, it's really annoying to get at. The entire shelf can support up to 100 pounds of weight, so if you wanted to set a monitor and speakers on here, you'd be free to do so. This would honestly be an easy product to recommend if it just wasn't so much money. For $800, it's a huge ask. For when I sit at the desk, I have this replica Eames chair from a brand called Sona. They shipped it out to me back in February, and I've used it every day since. It's super comfortable and surprisingly high quality. It's made of top grain leather that's super breathable and looks nice. The black and silver design looks sleek in the space, and really my only complaint with it is the aluminum arms. First off, they're really slim, but also they're just not comfortable to rest your arms on. Still to this day, one of the products I'm asked about constantly is my desk clock. This is the Amazon Echo Spot. It's been discontinued for over a year or 2 at this point, which is a bummer because it's such a simple but nice product to have here. For quickly glancing at the time or setting a timer, it's incredibly convenient. Now, the closest alternative is the Show 5, which essentially is the exact same device, just a rectangular design rather than a circular one. Running the setup is this 16-inch M1 Pro MacBook in this wooden Grove-made dock. For the most part, I do use the MacBook in clamshell mode, but when working on the display, it looks gorgeous. The 120Hz ProMotion never gets old, and it makes navigating through tabs feel smooth. There is, however, a trade-off for portability with such a large display. Lapping it is less comfortable than with a smaller laptop, so sitting in bed or in a car, for example, can be very difficult. I bring the laptop with me to school, and the TomTalk bag I have comfortably carries it around. Once I'm sitting down in the library, though, I do appreciate the screen real estate. It makes having an extra tab open while working a lot easier. I've had no issues with performance since I got it nearly 2 years ago at this point. The majority of my work consists of video editing in DaVinci Resolve and programming in IntelliJ, both of which this MacBook handles incredibly well. I have 16 gigabytes of RAM, which I do regret because even with just a few tabs open, it'll get used up so quickly and cause a bit of lag. Aside from that, I really have no need to upgrade this machine anytime soon. I'm barely scratching the surface of what this MacBook is capable of. If you're going to use a Mac or any other laptop with an external display, I highly recommend grabbing something like Razer's Thunderbolt 4 dock. What this allows you to do is connect multiple high refresh rate displays and any peripherals you'll need. At the back, there's 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, 3 USB-A ports, and Ethernet. At the front is where you'll plug your laptop into the upstream Thunderbolt. Additionally, to the left is a 3.5mm audio jack and an SD card slot. My 2 monitors are running at 160Hz and 75Hz, both at their max refresh rates by using USB-C to DisplayPort cables. I'm then plugged into my keyboard, mouse, and audio interface via USB-A. Because I only have a 1TB SSD in my MacBook, I got this external drive from OWC. This gives me an additional terabyte that I can use to store all of the footage for the video I'm currently working on. Both of my monitors are 34-inch ultrawides from LG. I have them stacked on top of each other, which is a little overkill, but it's a nice way to get the best of both worlds when it comes to an ultrawide and dual monitor setup. How I use them is the top monitor is almost always just a Chrome tab open to YouTube or Spotify, and then I'm programming or editing on the bottom. The main ultrawide is the UltraGear 34GP95-8HB. It has a 160Hz refresh rate, which is fantastic for gaming, and the colors are good enough in my opinion for color correcting these videos. What I found is that straight out of the box with very tiny changes, any edits I make on here tend to look good across all devices. I've been working and gaming on ultrawide for 3 years now, and I don't see myself changing these out in the main setup. I have used a 4K monitor, which isn't bad at all for day-to-day work, but I still find it easier to have multiple tabs open with an ultrawide. I have a very beefy PC, and it runs any game I throw it at on here above 100 FPS, unless it's like a new single-player game, but the level of immersion and just how good games look on here cannot be matched. On top of the monitor, I have a BenQ light bar. This is really nice as it shines onto the desk and keeps it well lit throughout the day. For shooting videos, this helps a ton, but also when I'm working at night, I can still see the entire desk clearly. I also have a Logitech webcam up there because I'm constantly on calls. The second monitor at top is a discontinued model from LG, so if you want something similar, I've linked one down below. The only real difference with this one is its lower 75Hz refresh rate and less accurate color profile. I have both monitors mounted to the desk with 2 different arms from Vivo. You can actually get a single pole that'll work the same, but having one for each side gives this floating effect that looks much nicer in my opinion. So I'm absolutely in love with my PC rig. The Leanly O11 mini case it's in is gorgeous. It fits an ATX motherboard, but remains more compact than a regular sized case, which is why I like it so much. Inside I have 8 fans, also from Leanly. For the top and bottom they're 120mm, and on the radiator they're 140mm. The Kraken X62 cools my i7 9700K. There is a bottleneck, I know, but I'm just too lazy and don't really want to spend $300 on a new motherboard on top of that new CPU to deal with it. The 4080 is a monster of a card and still manages to run every game I throw at it incredibly well. It was disgustingly expensive, but whether I'm playing in 4K or 1440p ultrawide, I know I'll be getting great performance without having to sacrifice visuals. To power such a beefy card, you'll want a power supply with a lot of wattage. I picked up this 1000 watt one from Silverstone, which was actually really difficult to find. There's already not that many SFX power supplies, but when you want to get to 800, 1000 watts, there's maybe like 2 other options. The 32GB RAM sticks are still one of my favorite additions to this build. These Trident Z Royals are sexy as hell. When I game or work, I'm almost always wearing the Beyerdynamic DT990 Pros. These headphones are so fucking good. They sound better than any other audio device I've ever used. They have an open back design, which means they don't block out any noise, so you'll clearly be able to hear what's going on around you. The biggest plus for me is just how comfortable they are. I've never been able to wear over-the-ear headphones for more than a couple of hours, but with these I could pretty much wear them the entire day. I'm powering them up with the Scarlett 2i2 audio interface. On here I can adjust the audio level, but then also plug in my SM7B. This is the microphone I use for these videos and any calls I jump on. It's a pricey mic once you combine the cloud lifter and audio interface you need, but I think it's worth it as having high quality audio is huge for making good videos. I have the mic on an Elgato wave arm. I like this a lot more than most other boom arms out there because the straight design it has looks much cleaner. It does take up a decent amount of space when folded away, but it's worth the trade-off for me. Most recently for my keyboard, I've been using the Newfie Air 75 V2. I made a review a few weeks back, so go check that out if you're enjoying this video. I'm not usually a fan of low profile boards, but this one has been nice. The linear switches still provide enough feedback that makes typing satisfying while also sounding pretty good. Whenever I game, I use a modded Wooting 60HE. I have it in this aluminum clip-a-T case from Mechanisk. I also lubed these switches on here and swapped out the keycaps for these blank ones, so it looks and feels really good. As far as mice, I exclusively use the MX Master for work. The ergonomic shape just can't be matched. Plus, the side scroll wheel and buttons are convenient to have. I have the Magic trackpad as well, mostly because the MX Master tweaks out a lot, but also if I want to zoom into a Figma document. When it comes to gaming, at the moment, I'm really liking the Super Light 2. I threw the updated Super Glide glass feet on there, so I'll keep you guys updated on how those feel. So, this has been my desk setup in my new home office. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my full tour once the space is completed. I've been Cole, and I appreciate you all for watching. I'll catch you next week. Take care.